Okay, I started my session. Okay, today we will see about data warehousing. Okay, just sharing my screen. Okay, why I'm starting with data warehousing is I think everyone know about data warehousing here. I think few of them knows what is data warehousing, but few of them don't know what is data warehousing, right? But if to step into Tableau CRM, data warehousing is the most important concept. Okay, where we need to stick to the basic first and we can move to the advanced. So people who know already can contribute to the session also, so it will be more interactive. Okay, so I don't want to keep it as a one way session. So we everyone should learn, and out of it we should take something out of this training. Okay, because we are spending every half an hour to 45 minutes every day for next 20 days, right? So it should be very I think it should be interactive. And one more thing is this session will end after 30 minutes. You can share, use the same link and join to the same session for today alone. Because from tomorrow, I will be sharing a separate session, okay, session link. That will not end because that will have a paid version. But today, actually, I was not able to bring it out because everything is planned in the short time. So let us go into the session, okay. So first of all, what is data warehousing, okay? Let us see what is data warehousing. So if you see, like there are we know about database already, but there are lot of database. And for example, if you take a company called a Dell, or if you're taking a company which is HP, okay, they are selling the products in the different countries, and they are having a different sources to store it. Some will be using either the main source as a Salesforce, or some will be using Oracle forms to gather their inputs, or some will be using websites, or some they take it in a regular order, right? So there are different sources already. So what is the big challenge in the databases? Suppose if you need to query between the different sources, then your production org for each and every environment will be different. So connecting to the suppose if you are having a sales table in one particular source in one particular production environment in a particular database, you will be having another sales for a different company in a different source, right? So you cannot always combine all these data together and get the results. And if you're trying to use the links to connect between even those two tables also, the runtime will be very huge, right? But in the data warehousing, actually what happens is like you can integrate different sources, and you can keep it as a one source of truth in the data warehousing, okay, where it can helpful for analyzing report and data mining. Okay, that is the main concepts of data warehousing. This is why the data warehousing is famous. Okay, the benefits of data warehousing is nothing but what I've shared already. That is one particular topic, and you can use it for fast retrievals. Okay, because all these tables will be either stored as a dimension as a fact. Okay, and we can improve the data quality. I will tell you about that, and we can maintain the historical insights also. Okay, what is data warehousing versus database? uh Actually, data warehousing versus database, which I have told already, this is similar to that. Okay, so now we are hearing a lot about the data lake. Okay, data warehousing and data lake. What is the difference between data warehousing and a data lake, right? Data lake and data warehousing, this I can explain with you a simple example where I've created this, right? So for example, data warehouse, we get the raw data. Raw data is from different sources and different environments. We get the raw data, and what we do is from the raw data, then we will be creating it as a formatted and processed data, and then it will be structured to data warehouse, and we will be presenting to users as a either insights, or either Hmm, either reports or either dashboards, right? It depends on the environments where we create this, okay? And data lake is again we are getting from the raw data, and it is pushed to data lake. It can be files. It cannot be only database. It can be files, or it can be a videos, or it can be any large files, or any social accounts like Twitter or Instagram. All this data can be pushed to data lake without structured, okay? And after that, when we are presenting to user, then we can format and process it. Okay, that is where we use the data lake concept. Okay, and this is the difference between the data warehousing also. So when you enter into data warehouse, right, there is one important type which we know about is slowly changing dimensions. Okay, so first we saw about the data warehouse and what is slowly changing dimensions are is important. There are actually normally we use three types, which is type 0, type 1, and type 2. Type 6 is now newly it has been introduced, and type 3. Okay, so what is this slowly changing dimension? So whenever we are storing data into our data warehousing, we will be storing it in a different ways. Okay, which we say as a type 1 and type 2. This is the main process. Whichever data warehousing environment we are using, we'll be storing it in a this particular format. Okay, so for example, what are these types and why we are using it? Okay, why we are using the SCD types? Okay, for example, when we are storing it in a database, right, we use the relationship model, right? Object relationship model where we used to store. But here we normally use it as a facts and dimensions, which we can call it as a measures and dimension tables also. Okay, so in this, right, we use normally uh, three types, which is basically type 0, type 1, type 2, and type 3. Okay, type 6 we don't either use or we use it in a different scenarios. Okay, type 0, where we will use type 0, okay, is any changes and any audit related changes we don't experimentally or we don't get regularly, right? Then we go for type 0. Okay, and what is type 1? Type 1 is we don't maintain any history. Suppose it is called, when we use the truncate and insert, that is called as a type 1. That means that we will be having all the current data which will be stored in the system, and all other data will be not been stored. For example, if you are storing it for a monthly basis for your company for sales related information, and you are for the current month, what if you are running the data for the sales, what it happens is it will truncate all the previous month's data till the previous month data for the current year, and it will store you the February month data. For example, we cannot call this as a YTD, but it will have the current data related changes in type 1. In type 1 and type 2, uh, actually this is called as a versioning. We call type 2 as a versioning. For example, the history related information will be stored. For example, if I am working in a previous company, okay, if there any company is storing employee related history related information, is how it will be stored is I worked in a previous company. Okay, that company information will be stored as a version 1. Okay, if I worked as a previous company, that will be stored as a version 2. Likewise, version 3 and version 4. Like if for each company, it will put a separate version, and the top version will be the current company of mine. Okay, for example, if my current company, it will show it as a current version, and all the remaining will be the act as a previous version. So what happens, it stores my complete history, where I was and which address I have worked in, and all these informations will be stored for me. Okay, for example, I worked for we leave about the company. If I am staying in a current address which is in USA, okay, and what happens, it will keep my current address everywhere. Suppose if I am staying in California, my address will be the California address for the current company, for the current address. And if I'm moving to other states like Texas or somewhere, what happens is my current company of the version will change it to no, and the previous versions will and the current version for the Texas will be changed it as S, and the flag will be changed it as S, and it will be stored as a current version. Okay, it means that if anyone need to take my entire history, they'll be able to track it along with this type 2 dimension. Because why we are using this is normally because we will be having overall data. The data will be very huge if you are collecting from different sources. If you are going to store billions and millions of records, right, what is going to happen, our data warehousing will have it is always structured to have a structure to run very large data. But even though if we are keeping the history, we should know what data we are going to keep in our history. That is the main objective of this type 2. And type 3 is it will be storing the current history only as a new column. Okay, what it does is it will keep a new column. Okay, and in the new column, for example, address, okay, like that, there will be a previous address. Okay, just before the address, there will be a previous address. So you can check my current address as in the current address field, and previous address in the previous address field. It will show only the latest history. It means my one just before the previous, okay, the previous employment details or previous address details only will be stored. Other than that, there won't be any more information when we are using type 3. Okay, so what are the largely used SCD types are mostly the type 2 and type 1 are the largely used. Okay, type 3, whenever they need to store only the current history related information and just before the previous, and they need to reduce the data, then they go for type 3. So always whenever in my data warehousing concepts, we have used either type 2 or type 1, but type 3 is rarely been used. Okay, because no one is everyone will be interested to maintain entire history, or to don't want to keep the history at all, but they won't be interested to keep only the current history when just be, other than the companies which are deciding. Okay, another one important concepts in data warehousing is like, see, I think I went very fast on this concept. So like, if you want to know more about this, please let me know. Okay, so or if you have any doubts, please let me know, or if I'm fast, you can let me know that also. Okay, but these are all the concepts which we need more important when we step into either Einstein Analytics or Tableau CRM also. Okay, and so I think I can move on to the next topic, right? Or if you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay, links I will share definitely, but I cannot share it as a separate link, but I will try to share you anything if I find which is more interesting and it will be helpful to learn. But according to me, you can just understand what is this. This should be enough, because we are just focusing on Tableau CRM, not about data warehousing. This is just to understand how is the data is storing. But if you definitely need links, you can ping me separately. I will provide you the links. Okay. So I think we can move on. And what is the star schema and snowflake schema? Okay. Like, for example, for modeling the data warehouse, right? There is only two ways. Either we are going to model using the star schema, or either we are going to model using the snowflake schema. Okay, what is star schema and snowflake schema, and why it is more important, and why we need to use this? Okay, star is nothing but if you are having the fact tables, right? Which is always relevant to another dimension table, which has a direct connection. It means like a direct primary key and a foreign key relationship. We don't say it's a primary and foreign key, but ideally, if you have a direct relationship between the fact and dimension, for example, if you are having a fact table as sales, and you directly have a product as your dimension table, it means it is mentioned that the sales fact table will be normally joined with the product fact table, right? It will directly have a one-to-one relationship between them. So we can call that as a, if we are having a time dimension, then it will be normally called as a confirmed dimensions also. Okay, for example, if you have a time dimension which has been separated between year, month, and quarter, and where you can if you can take the previous month quarter and current month quarter differences directly. For example, you can, for just now, you can keep this in a mind, like wherever you have a direct join between the fact and dimension, then that is called as a star schema. And snowflake is, it is a normally called as a multi-dimensional model. For example, when you join between these fact and the dimension is joined with another dimension, and again that dimension has a relationship with other dimension, that is called as a snowflake schema. This also we'll be using in our scenarios to bring in the data to model it. For example, why I told fact is, see, fact is nothing but your fact table is directly joined with your dimension table. Okay, there is no much relationship between any other dimension table. This can be sometimes confirmed dimension, or it can be a dimension which we are using in our organization to make use of it. Okay, and what is snowflake schema? See, like I explained, we have a fact table, and we have a dimension table, and we have a dimension table. This is a clear fact. If you see the circle, right, this is a clear fact. Okay, let me annotate it. Like, see, this is just a star schema. Okay, if you see only this is star schema. But what happened here? This dimension table is again joined to the sub dimension table. This can be also sometimes called as a star schema. Okay, or it has a direct relationship between the dimension. Okay, but what happens here? This is joined here, and again this is joined to some dimension, and this is joined to some dimension, right? So ideally, if you query the fact table, you can get it this directly. But if you want to get those two things, we need to use this particular join and join this. Okay, but why I said this sometimes, why this I said this as a this can be a star schema, right? Sometimes your fact can have a direct relationship between your fact table and subdimension table also. Okay, it cannot be represented as this, but even though by using the fact and the subdimension table, by using this as a X factor, we can take this also, these values also. But here in this case, definitely if we need to pick these values from here, or if you have a join again here with the dimension, then from the fact you cannot connect and join this. Okay, so that is the reason why we call this as a snowflake schema. And when we model these scenarios, right, when we are going to model this scenario, for example, we can take the example, we can take the relationship as a sales. Okay, the sales will have direct relationship between the product. Okay, but the product can have a relationship between like the origin or the raw material source, wherever they are getting the raw materials, right? All those information the product table will not have, but the subtable of the product will have all those information, and what is the pricing information of the each raw materials, which any organization will not show to the product related information. That will be kept as their main objective, right? So of the sales, so it will be not shown to any of the product relation information, because it is their company's details which they want to store. And but that will be act as a dimension table, which won't they don't want to focus on that also. Likewise, there might be many tables. For example, address will have some information, but the history of accounts, they can keep it as another subtable. But if you see department, okay, if you take an example as a department for any organization, but that will be always showed as a dimension table. Okay, but I will explain this example in real time so that you can connect whenever you have doubts, right? You can easily connect on that. Okay, so that is the main difference between the star and snowflake schema. Okay, and what is the main and one more thing which is more important is the fact and dimension. Okay, that is more important. What is the fact table and what is the dimension table? Okay, fact tables, right? For example, all the your company's bill to information or sales information, which which we take it as a measure. For example, what is the total sales, what is the total quantity, and what is the total price, and what is the selling price, and what is the amount. All these information will be keeping it in a fact table. Okay, for example, sum of sales and overall sales and total net sales, all these things will be our facts, right? That will be having stored in the fact table. But how the fact and dimensions are connected each other, right? It is using the key column. Okay, everyone will be in a same fact table. You will have a bill to number, you will have a product ID, you will have a year or a date metrics, a combination of date metrics, and you will have a department ID, and you might have the sales related informations like such as bill to and sold to information, and these are all the dimension key metrics you can have in a single fact table. Okay, so what is the use of it? So when you query using bill to, you will get all the bill to related information. But when you query on the product ID, then you will be getting all the product related information. Okay, all this information you will be getting by just querying the key column. Okay, so and that's why we keep all the key metrics in the fact table. And in the dimensions, right? What is a dimension? Okay, in the dimension, we will be having all the uh, product related dimensions which has the not fact related information. Suppose it is not a sales or if it is not a measure, and all these informations will be storing in a dimension table. For example, all the product relationship information, just product ID, and what is the product name, and what is the what are the product family, and what is the product description, and what is the product each product's amount, right? For example, if you are taking a laptop for a Dell, then what is the price of that particular laptop and what are the different brands we have? All these will be having the product related information. And if you have accounts, right? For example, you can take it as an account table. In the account, what will be having is the account ID to join with the fact table and which account we are having the product. For example, if you are having the product on a different account, that product related information you'll be having it there. Okay. Well, for example, Coca-Cola is one product which providing service to Dell. Okay, so then that particular account will be tagged to Dell because Dell might be giving some services to Coca-Cola. At the time, they will be providing those information to them. So that is one particular account where they might integrate with the further accounts and further sales related information or any other business related information can be stored in one particular account. Example, if you have a time, I explained as a time or date, right? For time or date, what is the information you will have? The time related information will have everything. If you are joining the date column, the month column, the year column, the quarterly, yearly, monthly, all these information will be structured in the time dimension column. Okay. Likewise, you can see product and all these things. Any other things like department and department related informations, right? An account and key accounts and all these things uh, can be captured as a dimension table. Why this is important is always, if you see, normally we'll have one fact table because even though we are using Tableau CRM, we are gathering data from different sources, right? So everywhere when we are bringing the data, we'll be using it as a dimensions and facts. Okay. Normally that is the main factor. Just I wanted to explain you about the data warehousing concepts today. Okay. So any so that's it for today's session, which I wanted to know and I wanted to tell you. And one more thing is I want you guys to create an org for you. Okay, each and everyone should have an org created because what is an org is for learning Tableau CRM. Salesforce is providing a free org where we can have the real-time experience and we can work on those to gather the knowledge on it. Okay, so I will tell you like how to create an org. But tomorrow, if everyone can create their own org, one email ID is enough to create an org. Okay, so if you are able to create an org, so we can start our real-time sessions using that. Okay, so I can give you the details in the group after the session. If you have any doubts, just you can ping me. It just ask for the information, basic information to fill, and after that your org will be created. Okay, I had an org already, but my org has been like expired, so even I need to create a new org. Okay, otherwise I would have been shown you what is it. Hello,
Yeah, yes, Anand.
do you have any questions?
Yeah, pretty fine, Anand. Yeah, pretty much you covered everything. So basically, I think we could.
Okay, so I will share you the org links. Okay, this is just this is not I did not give hands on this because this is just a need to know. So like even if you know this, it will be helpful for your all the interviews. Okay, because this is the where this is from where everyone will start questioning when you go to data warehousing or any other interview. Okay, yeah. I think I can share you this recording and I can share you this PPT also. Okay. You guys can keep it for your reference. But after this session, you will get an one link and where you need to register and create your org. Please do that today. So it will be helpful for tomorrow. Okay. Okay.
Sure, Anand.
Okay. Then I think it's fine, right? We can close the session if you guys are okay.
Yeah, thanks, Anand.
Yeah. Bye.